Want to get a peek at all the little choices and strategic discussions that go into creating and launching a successful podcast? You're in the right place, because Podetize co-founders Tracy Hazzard and Tom Hazzard have launched and hosted 6 shows of their own and advised 600 other podcasters on setting up their show for success. Drop in behind the scenes while they design their latest show, The Next Little Thing.
Hey everyone, welcome to Behind the Next Little Thing. Now, I got to clarify this, Tom, before we get started, because we don't want to confuse people that we're not doing the behind story about how the next little thing was made. This behind story is behind the making of the Next Little Thing podcast.
Yeah, that's very important to understand. So those of you that don't know me and Tracy, so I'm Tom Hazzard and my co-host here, Tracy Hazzard, and we are in the podcasting business. We have we founded the largest post-production company in the world for podcasting, and we have a state-of-the-art podcast hosting platform. And if you don't know what that is, just listen to this series and you'll understand as we go through it. But
also the series is located at podetize.com. So if you wanted to find out anything about it, you're going to end up right where our business is.
That's right. So we start a new podcast every year, either Tracy or me or both of us together. In fact, it's been a few years since we've started a new one together, Tracy, hasn't it?
Yeah. So let's go back. So we started our very first one, WTFFF, which is on 3D printing, and FFF is the geeky term for 3D printing. That was our very first one. Then we started Product Launch Hazards, which was a product spinoff where we talked about product development, product design, which is our vast experience. Then we did New Trust Economy next. I think the New Trust Economy.
I don't even remember the order.
Yeah, I think the New Trust Economy came next, and the New Trust Economy is all about blockchain and cryptocurrency. And I had a co-host that wasn't you, that was Monica Profit. So it was Profit and Hazard, which was kind of fun because 2 F's, 2 T's, and 2 Z's all in one. So that one was really fun. Then we started Feed Your Brand. And Feed Your Brand is our podcast for podcasters to help them with the tactical, the marketing, the growth, the launching, whatever you need. And that's what Feed Your Brand's about. And then we had a spinoff from Feed Your Brand the next year, and that was the Binge Factor. And that's my show, where I predominantly interview top podcasters on what they're doing that's successful and how they're creating success and growth in their show and how they're monetizing their show. So that's where that one lies. You started a couple for some other people in there. And then
sure, that I've played a role in more as a sidekick, but something I enjoyed doing. But now, really, we decided this year we wanted to start a new show, a little bit different format than we've done in the past. And we decided that it's going to be about really something more related to our, I guess, the core of our careers up until at least about 6 years ago, right?
Right. Because if you're going to start a podcast, you need to make it sustainable. So you need to make it something that you can talk about day in and day out, that you can be passionate about, that you can either find great guests for. In our case, we don't take great guests, but we review great products and tech and services and apps and technology. So if we're going to do that, then we need to know something about it, because it's going to make it easier for us to build the show and keep it going.
So we thought, as we're, embarking on this journey of launching a new podcast, it would be useful to many of you out there who are considering launching a podcast of your own, or maybe have launched one of your own, to have a behind the scenes look so that we can sort of peel back the curtain a bit here on what it's like to go through the process of creating a new podcast.
Right, because there's so many courses and other things out there, but Tom and I spend lots of time, strategy time with our clients. We have helped almost 600 shows launch. So we've got quite a repertoire under our belt of shows, different genres, different types, different strategies, different things that we think of. And then we've seen what worked and what doesn't work. This is actual data. And we see the patterns again and again from different people and different types of industries and different bad advice that is out there that we see that this doesn't work when things go. So we wanted to have an opportunity to like narrowly identify each one of those things and sort of do that debate that we do. Sometimes we do it in our head when we're about to talk to a client and we just straight out make the recommendation to people. We do it on Clubhouse all the time when we analyze a show and we review them and we give a critique. We call it host in the hot seat. So we're really doing it, but all of the things that we're thinking about, sometimes we don't share them. We just tell you this will work better and you do them and it does work better. And you say, Tom and Tracy have great advice, right? Like, and that's fantastic. But we thought here, maybe some of you would like to know the why. Why are we making some of these choices and what are these choices and what are we weighing and what are we thinking about? Because, and for our particular show, it might not be the right choice for you, but we're going to give you our options and then we're going to tell you why we chose what we chose for our particular show purposes.
Right. And part of the reason that we create a new show every year, at least one of us, if not both of us, is so that we are experiencing what's working today. Many gurus out there who have created these courses in how to launch a podcast did it 10 years ago or more. And our first podcast was started over like 7 years ago, our podcasting journey. I don't want to just share with you what worked 7 or 10 years ago and give you the expectation that that's still going to work today. We want to share with you why we're making decisions that we're making today based on the context of, yes, our vast experience over the years, but also more importantly, what's working today in 2021, not what worked in the past. It's only going to help you so much. It may not help you much at all.
So we want to hit these sort of micro topics for you. We want to talk about like how we named the show, how we chose our website, what decisions, what criteria did we give our designers for creating the right cover art, intro, outro music choices, voiceover, like male versus female, like what did we decide and how do we make some of our decisions and what were we weighing as our choices? Should we do video or not? That was like a big choice, right? And so like these are all these little choices that get made. So we're going to have these micro mini episodes of behind the next little thing where you're going to hear the choices that we're making, and we're going to run them all so that you can binge them. You can go back to back to back. So we're recording them, but then we're going to drop them all in a big batch, which is a very different strategy and which is also its own choice. And so we'll have to post in episodes and we will post episodes, right? So after the batch that we initially do, we'll do some episodes that are like, how did that go? What worked? What didn't work? What did we try? What did we adjust? And so we'll keep you updated. We won't necessarily do them on a daily basis because you're going to get this big batch of them. And we'll probably do those on a weekly basis, just do 1 or 2 a week whenever something comes up that we want to update you on or some new choices that we make. Because that's the thing that we've learned about podcasting is it is a fluid process. You don't just launch and it's done. You must continue to learn, adjust, tweak, evaluate, learn, adjust, tweak, evaluate, right? Like all of those things, you just keep going through that process.
Absolutely. So, I really wish, Tracy, that this podcast had existed before we started our first podcast experience. That would have saved us a ton of time. How many different books did you read about podcasting before we even decided we were going to do it?
15 to 18, something like that. And I think I watched and forced you to watch some videos too, but right. I think I probably watched at least 24 videos. I listened to hundreds of hours of podcasts on it at the time and read blog posts, things like that. So, I mean, I probably spent I would say I easily spent about a good 200, 300 hours prepping and making decisions over about a 6-month period. Now, I do that pretty quickly, but that's what I did.
Sure. And if I'm thinking back to those times, I think you were very vocal to me and we would have conversations about it as you were reading some of these books, watching some of these videos, where you felt like some of these experts, gurus, coaches were telling you part of what you needed to know, but we're holding something back. Isn't that right?
Yeah, it's one of my pet peeves that they're trying to sell you into something. They're trying to sell you into their Paradise program, into their high level weekend with them mentorship, right? Like all of that. So they're teasing you with enough but not enough information to actually do what you need to do or have all the data that you need. Now, if you read and watch and do as much, you can assemble all the pieces together for yourself. And I'm really good at that. That's sort of my thing, is to figure out the how to, the what, and do that process for other people. Like it's what we do as designers every single day. So I was able to do that, but it was constant reading between the lines and saying, where this person doesn't tell you this person did. And I was able to like fit the pieces together. But there was a lot of garbage I still discarded along the way.
Right. And so I just want our listeners to understand that's not the kind of relationship we want to have with you all out there, the listeners. That's not our style. We are actually intending to be completely transparent and not holding anything back about what we believe, what we recommend, what we think is a best practice, what is not, what is going to work for us in the context of this podcast, and what may not work for us, but it may work for you. We're going to be very open and transparent about that. We're not trying to sell you into some course. In fact, we actually do have a course about how to launch a podcast, but it's free.
Yeah, it's absolutely free. And most of you won't go through it. Most of you won't want to. But the harder part is we can't sit there and give you all the whys to it, or we'd never get the course. I mean, it's 6 hours long as it is. We never get you through it if we gave you all the details and the whys. So this way you can look at this repertoire of information that we've given you as like, I'm struggling with the titling, I'm struggling with the outro, and how to script that. Now you can pick and choose the parts that you need deeper dive on because you're struggling with the decision-making process on it and finding out what's holding you back. Our goal is to help you launch faster. Get through that launch process, because we believe that the biggest problem in the industry is that there are too many people out there saying, this is easy, you can do this. And then you start it. And when you find resistance, you have no support and no help. And so too many people quit their show. That's why we have thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of pod faders right now. Right. And so the industry's dirty secret is that there are 2 million podcasts out there and only about 700,000 of those podcasts are active. So we have this really bad pod fade rate, which we don't have in our company. And part of the reason we only have a less than 7% pod fade rate is because we provide the support, the nurture, the why behind things, and the strategy to make it work for you and your business. And so we want to give as many people out there the tools that we use, because you can't access us. Not every day. Not everybody can. We have only so much of us to go around. So we wanted to make this as accessible as possible for everyone.
All right. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what we're trying to do here. If you enjoy what you've heard today, hey, tune in for the next episodes, binge through them, and we're going to take you through the process of making those decisions one by one, and then have some follow-up like Tracy mentioned after that.
So this has been Tracy Hazzard and Tom Hazzard on the Behind the Next Little Thing, and we'll be back next week. And you can find out all the information about this show at podetize.com.
Want to get even more insider tips, tools, and tactics to create and grow your podcast? Make sure to check out Tracy and Tom Hazzard's other shows about podcasting. Subscribe to Feed Your Brand podcast and The Binge Factor podcast on your favorite listening app, or go to podetize.com and let the pros help guide you to an even more successful show.